Good, we are live.
Wait, it stopped? Okay.
Good. So we are ready at meeting everybody.
Awesome.
Welcome everybody, good morning. Good morning, hi there. People are joining. I see some connecting to audio. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to the 4th day of Power Skills Career Summit Transformation Edition. My name is Diana Viola. I'm the Communications Associate at Career Advising and Transition Services at McGill, the School of Continuing Studies. Here in this call is my colleague, Valerie Niwini. Say hi, Valerie.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Power Skills.
We are so happy because we have a very special guest today, speaker, Anne-Marie Mulumba, who I will introduce a little bit later, because before we get started, I would like to share a message with you. McGill University is on land which has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst Indigenous peoples. We respect their territory, and we will start this session with a land acknowledgement. So we appreciate if you keep your microphones closed, because we are going to share a video. Okay, so today's presentation is led by Anne-Marie Mulumba, User Experience Research Consultant. Anne-Marie is a bilingual researcher and user experience consultant. She helps organizations build more inclusive and accessible products and services. She has experience working with Brookfield Institute and the OECD Ontario Digital Service, the Canadian Digital Service, United Nations Association in Canada, and more. On the side, she publishes for Black Professionals in Tech Network, the biggest network of professionals in tech in North America. Her background is in sociology and graphic design. She has earned a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Graphic and Industrial Design at Concordia University in Montreal. Anne-Marie, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I'm really excited to be here with all of you. And I'd love to know where you are, like in what city, maybe in a different country right now, depending on if you move back home, etc. Let me know if you can still see my screen. Can you just
we don't see your screen. I stopped sharing when I shared the land acknowledgement.
That's okay. That's good to know. Let me share my screen again. Awesome. Okay, now you can see it, right? Excellent. All right. So thanks so much for attending. So this session is about this field called user experience. And I'll tell you a little bit of, give you an introduction of what user experience is, or UX as we call it. And it's really about understanding in general. And from there, I'll tell you about the skills that you learn if you work in the field, and the skills are valuable for any career path that you choose because of technology being a thing that will change, a factor that will change the future of how we work and how we build things. So thank you. And before I start the presentation, I just wanted to say welcome home. This is a safe space, and it's a place where you can feel comfortable to ask the questions are on your mind, whatever those questions are. And also I let you, if you feel comfortable, if you can turn on your camera, and if you want to raise your hand when you have questions, I welcome that too. And just to start, I'm really curious about what everyone is looking forward to learn today. So do you have a specific question or something that you're wondering about, maybe you're challenged about? I would love to know about that. And if you want to share it in the chat so that everyone can take a look. Oh, I see someone is from Longueuil, Diana from Longueuil. And if you want to share about where you are right now, and also things that you're looking forward to learn, as well as the field you're in, if you're already working as a professional, if you're studying in a specific program, and also what do you care about? This question, this is my first time asking this question, because I feel like I ask myself that from time to time to see where I'm going and what do I really care about as a human being, and what types of missions really ignite my passion as a creative and human in the world and career woman. So yeah, please let us know, like, what do you care about in the world? What are the things that you're focused on? What you want to change for the better? And what program you're studying, and city as well. So I'm just gonna take some time here to kind of get to know the room a bit. So I will look into what everyone is writing down in the chat. So I can see that there's someone from Vancouver, Montreal, someone in Ottawa, Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu. There's one person in Athens in Greece at this moment. And I'm reading about what people care about too. So someone said they care about family and making a positive impact in everything that they do. That's really good. Someone is talking about being employed as a counselor in Montreal and having clients in tech. I'm really curious to know about those clients and like what projects you're working on. So, and I see that you're saying that you want to learn more about UX. So that's why you're joining today. And then in terms of, oh yes, my friend, Janie, who's I believe graduate from McGill. She's working as a consultant in Montreal. She's an awesome woman. She's looking to, someone is facing an early midlife crisis, exploring career options. That's really interesting. I've actually experienced that last year, not career-wise, but just like where I was going and if I was gonna move and stuff like that. And someone is interested in UX, a field that they don't know much, and they are newcomers, and so they probably just, she's saying that she'd like to learn more about the skills and what's required in the field. So there's a lot of diversity here. So creatives, like there's a graphic designer, there's someone working in logistics, another someone else saying that they have a middle-age crisis team right now. So she's kind of supporting the tribe of people who are having midlife crises, me being one of them, and it happened recently as well. Someone working in ops and workforce consultant. Oh, interesting. Looking to learn to learn on the impact of UX on the employees' productivity from the viewpoint of, from my viewpoint and my experience. Okay, can you keep that as a question? I'd love to answer that later. I've never thought of that, but I will definitely keep it in mind if I remember it and I can ask it as a question. So really interesting group. Thank you for coming today. And I can see the diversity of people. And so I'm really excited to share what I'm able and about to share today with all of you. So the agenda for this session looks like this. So I will start with the general introduction about myself and where I am right now and my story of how I got into user experience. Then I'll move into what user experience is, so the definition and what it actually consists. And from there, we'll look at the process of work. How do we actually apply this in a concrete way through a process as a team? And then we'll look into like the actual skills that you gain and that can benefit in my opinion, and I believe others think so too, because Forbes wrote about it, and I'm going to talk about it in the presentation about the benefits of UX. And then at different points, I'll stop and kind of gauge and see if people have questions in mind, so that I'm able to answer them throughout the presentation and not just at the end. And once we get to the workshop part, I will also make that time as a time to answer questions. So you can kind of work on your on the different exercises that will lead you to do. And then I will also be available to answer all your questions as well. I hope that sounds good. So from here, I wanted to introduce myself so you can see me on the screen twice maybe. My name is Anne-Marie. I'm 26 years old. At this moment right now, I'm actually in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania in East Africa. I was in Montreal a month and a half ago, close to 2 months, and I decided to move on this side of the world for different reasons, and that could be maybe another another presentation. But I have been working in the field of user experience for the last 3 years, and in different organizations, and I gained these skills through experience, and also having a design background for my bachelor's of fine arts gave me a really strong foundation. So that's how I got into UX. But I wanted to tell you about the different types of experiences I was able to gain and the places I've worked at. So for me, what I care about is making a difference and making a tangible impact on different aspects of life in general, so society and different populations and their needs. And so I really care about social sustainability and social impact. And so I worked for the federal government, for provincial governments, to help them understand people and to build services that are more intuitive, easier, faster to use, and just better in general. Because we all know that government services are not the greatest. And so when you think of immigration, citizenship, applying for visas, getting your driver's license, whatever else, like those services are sometimes not the best in their process and how they're delivered. So I've worked on different projects that enabled me to have an impact on public sector. And at this moment, and since last year, I've been working for different universities to teach these digital skills that I've been able to learn in the last 3 years and more to people that, and students, graduate and undergraduate students that want to learn more about UX, but also other skills that are transferable to any field. And in the process, as a creative, I've been able to also have an impact in creative organizations / startups. And so let's say companies that help you think, that help you learn new things, that help you organize your ideas. So you can think of that. And then I've worked with NGOs as well and international organizations such as the OECD. And I continue to kind of work through the different types of organizations, since right now I decided to focus on consulting. And the picture that you see right here is a photo that I took with my teammates when I was still in university in 2017-18. And we were doing this project to better understand the people experience of public transportation. So with STM, the Société de Transport de Montréal, which is the organization that kind of oversees the subways and the buses, is we wanted to understand, like, why do people actually still use paper itineraries? And, you know, with those like hours and tells you exactly when you come and stuff like that, they print them, a lot of them every quarter. So every 3-4 months, they print them so that people can take them and use them to like find out where the bus comes, etc. And so our team wanted to better understand that process. And at that time, I actually didn't know this was actually studying user experience, because in the years prior to me entering my design degree, I was working as a graphic design in mostly like production side in design agencies. And I remember just feeling like there was something missing, and I wanted to kind of know why we were making certain visual decisions, such as the client would come and tell us, oh, we want to rebrand and we want a new visual identity for our product or a company. And then our team would come up with like 3 different iterations or versions and send them the client that, and they would choose one of them. And then that would be it. We would kind of create that visual identity for them. But then I was thinking, like, why are we not asking people why, like, what they think of this? Have we done any market research? Have we like actually understood their customers? And so I was asking myself these questions, and I started Googling, and I discovered this field called design research, which is another way of saying user experience research. And in the process of doing that, in my first year at Concordia, after I finished that first year, I worked as a user experience researcher for an organization in Ontario called the Ontario Digital Service, which is a provincial government digital organization that builds better, faster, simpler government services, basically. And so this is where I learned, like I jump-started my UX career by just getting experience for like 4 months in the summer, where I learned so much from the lead of my team and from the other students who in a way were mentoring, not necessarily mentoring me, but I was learning from them because they had so much more experience than me. And so I got hands-on experience that enabled me to get all the projects that I needed to have in my portfolio to show that I actually I've done this before. And that's how I got the next clients and the next projects and the next offers later. And this started to come quite fast. So it just like completely switched my career to a different, just pivoted completely. And but before I kind of move on and talk about the rest, I wanted to pause here and be like, let's actually agree on what UX is and think of a definition that we can all agree on. So I want to define UX or user experience as a human-centered approach to designing physical and digital products that delight people. And I want to emphasize on the word people here, because when you think of, I wanted to use the word users at first, and then I thought user experience is really about not just understanding the person and how they use the app, the like software or the restaurant service, something like that. It's really about understanding people in general and their motivations, their needs, their challenges, to actually understand how all those things and their context at home, with family, at work, influence their relationship or the interactions with physical and digital products. And so it's really about understanding people first, and from understanding people, considering how the experience of an app, for example, can kind of enter in their life experience in general, if that makes sense. And so we want to think of the users as full on people. And that's something I learned from mentors working in the federal government, that, that really focused on making sure that we focus on telling that it's about people, not about users. And so if I can give a concrete example of, in my life, of really good user experience, I'd say for me, Google Maps is like one of the tools I use on a daily basis when I'm trying to like get to a place, especially now that I moved. But just in general, even if I'm in Montreal and I know the city quite well, let's say, I tend to get lost easily. My sense of direction is not the best. And so I consider this app to be the app that kind of helps me move around quite simply. And so let's say friends invite me to a restaurant and we're going for dinner, and it's a new restaurant that I've never been to in a neighborhood new to me. So I would use this app to really facilitate my experience of moving from point A, which is where I am, my home, my apartment, to the restaurant where we're meeting with friends. And so the goal of this app is really to facilitate that kind of transition through the city, let's say, through using the public transportation, the bus, the subway, walking. And so I feel, in my experience, and maybe for some of you too, and maybe you have some frustrations about Google Maps, but that experience feels really good to me. And so the app becomes so invisible in a way that it shows you they've done their job in iterating, modifying, improving the app in so many increments that they got to the point where they're able to understand or to really craft in a way that fits with how people move around and understand their cities. And so you can see it from an app perspective of like looking at Google Maps, but you can also look at user experience as an end-to-end experience of different touch points. So let's say you start with Google Maps, and then you move around in the city. And so your experience moving in different streets, looking at the street names, kind of walking on the sidewalk, that also is considered a different type of experience of the city. And then when you get to the actual restaurant, the experience of actually finding the name outside, of getting in, of getting the service, of getting somewhere to give you a table, giving you the menu and food and drinks when you're ready and when you actually start to feel like hungry, that also is another experience that is valuable. So you can think of user experience as bigger than just something that you see on the screen. And I think I went back. And so I wanted to give a different definition from this coach, executive coach and UXer, Whitney. And she says that user experience is a commitment to developing products and services with purpose, compassion, and integrity. And so she really puts the right words there. She talks about commitment, because user experience is really about the process and not just about the end goal. It's about making sure that you go through different steps to get to discovering different answers. And from those answers, you apply things and you test them out and you iterate your time. And so that's how I see user experience. And I hope these types of definitions and example give you a really good overview. And so when you think about that process, as I mentioned, this is usually how UX happens in a team or in an organization. They've established this through time, and it's also mixed with the product slash like development of actually like building the tool with the developers and engineers. And so it starts first with empathy. So understanding people, making sure you make the time to understand them and to build so that you can build things that they actually need or want. And so at that point in time, when you're empathizing and then you define, you're able to use methods like research, actually asking questions, so using different research methods and observation, etc., to really just come to like the point where you're able to listen and take in information that tells you exactly what people need. And so from there, you move on to steps 3 and 4, which are ideating and prototyping. So this is where you actually take the time to generate ideas. So it can be by yourself, it can be within a team. And those ideas would just give you just enough so that you can build something to test out. So it can be a paper prototype with like a fake app on it. It could be you prototyping something in the software, but it's still not like a full-on app that you build from scratch with code, just enough so that you can have something to test out and see what people think. And from there, you move on to the very last step, which is testing, so that you can validate or invalidate things or assumptions. And you're able to repeat this process again, because when you test things, you get feedback, you're able to learn about the things that worked and didn't. And then you're able to go back again and empathize again, ask the right questions, and then you just incrementally improve things in this way. So from here, I wanted to kind of show you what that might look like if you're working for an organization or by yourself. And so this potentially what could UX process look like from a research perspective, because I specialize in research. And so these photos come from when I was working for the federal government, their digital service organization, and I was doing research to understand the experience of businesses in Canada, in the European Union, and how they were looking for contracts in the public sector in Canada. And so you can see me using a lot of Post-its, putting them on the wall, and you're like, what? What is this? Why are you like putting so many little sticky notes? But this is how we kind of find a way to visualize and to kind of think of patterns. And so you can see the structure here that I was coming up with by analyzing the information after we conduct research in different businesses. And from the research, I consolidate everything and then I present it and communicate it to the team or the organization. And so in this photo, you see me presenting to the organization and to some of our partner / guest speakers from Europe. And Yes, so I wanted to stop here, and I know there was a lot of information in that short period of time. I'm gonna stop here and look at the questions if there's any in the chat. Let's see here. And so I'm looking at what Marion said. Wait, I'm just looking for a question. Let's say. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna read what Marion said because I talked about Google Maps. So he said, I was exploring another neighborhood in Montreal the other day and found a great new restaurant using Google Maps. So we're so happy. Yeah, I love that experience of like looking for places on Google Maps and like actually trying them out later. And maybe some of you use this tool, like the bookmarking tool, where you can kind of give a heart or like say like, I want to go here at some point. I love that. I give myself recommendations. I'm like, maybe next time I should go here. And then when I try it, I add a note saying, try this like avocado toast, try this drink. And then next time when I go, I know exactly what to eat. So that's another really great experience with Google Maps. I have here someone who said, I think it's a question or a comment. It says, not sure if this is it says, not sure if this is true, but sound like UX should also be part of a service product design before their launch and not after. Absolutely. Yes, that's absolutely right. And you're spot on that. UX is really, like I said, about the process, and it's a process that should happen earlier than later. And UX, we say something like test early and often, and it's like a motto in the field. And so if you keep that mindset, you will be really successful in UX. So testing early and often all the time. So that you can get results fast. And if you fail, then you can kind of get up fast and test again and try again and kind of learn from your mistakes like that. Yeah, someone says, when I travel, I use the bookmarking. Yes, I do that too, like I said. If I see somewhere that looks interesting while passing on a bus, I'll save it for dinner time to go back. Absolutely, yes. Hopefully a lot of you also use that app. I use it in different cities in the world. And then if I go back, then I'm able to like actually go back to the places that I looked at in the past. Marion said, I love tools that can give me great experiences, so satisfying. Yes, and we will talk about that in the workshop portion. I'm really curious to know like what tools people find really satisfying and they find they have good user experience. Tools or places they've been to or restaurants or like shopping experiences. Anything like that. I'm really curious to know what you think works for you and what actually is a bad example of UX in your life, of you seeing it maybe in other people's lives. And then someone says, you come across, oh, thank you. Thanks, thanks for the comment. I see a comment about, someone said, I am an outgoing person with a great public speaking skills. Thank you. I learned this, and to be honest with you, I'm actually an introvert. I'm an introvert, but I love presenting these things because I see it brings so much value, and I love the reaction of people, and just I love kind of sharing things, and so maybe that's why I might seem super bubbly, but I do love this. But I'm actually introverted in my heart. Awesome. And so I want to stop here to see if anyone has questions. I listed a couple here, which are, what is the difference between UX and UI? That's a question I get a lot. So if you feel comfortable raising your hand or unmuting and saying something, or actually just writing it down in a comment, I'm just gonna stop here and for like 1 minute and see if anyone has a question. I see, Liz, you are muted, I believe. Or do you have a question to ask? Let me know if you can. Oh, okay, no problem. No problem. Yeah, so these are the types of questions I tend to get. What is the difference between UX and UI? What does a typical week look like? And do you need to draw or code to actually work in UX? I can answer these, but I see someone wrote down something. And yeah, feel free to let those questions come, and I will answer them now. And if I don't get to all of them, I'll wait for the others time when I will stop again, and then in a workshop time. So Suzanne said, I'm actually curious about the answers to the questions you have on your slide. Yeah, also wondering if UX research is a common role as compared to UX designer. So to answer your second question on what is most common, UX research or UX design, that's a great question. Brilliant question, I'd say. So to start, UX research is not as common as UX design in the field. Because, well, for a couple of reasons, but UX design tends to be the role that a lot of companies hire for today, because they consider that if you are a UX designer and you're the first one in the organization, you should do everything. And so that happens that they hire someone and they're like, you will do the research, you will do design, you will do prototyping. And so if you get that type of role, great, because you can learn fast on your feet. But sometimes it can be a lot and maybe exhausting. So anyway, there's always good and bad, but I'd say UX research is less known and less hired for role. So it's a bit more, let's say, not that necessarily prestige, but I'd say like, because companies are not as mature yet when it comes to understanding user experience, they don't actually understand the value of research enough yet. Not all of them, but some of them, most of them in a way too, don't understand the value of research yet, but research is the core of UX in a sense that it's the ideas generated from talking to people that actually propel everything else that come. And so it is very essential, but in the next 5 to 10, 15 years, definitely it's going to be an ever-growing field. And so if you want to still focus on becoming a researcher instead of a designer, do it now, or just do it because you will become more and more in demand as time goes. Second question and then I'll answer those actually that I have on my slide. It says, for me, the most important aspect of UX is to deliver on the promise out of the product service. Deliver on the promise. Yes. Actually, that's a good point, but I wonder if companies actually define those promises well, if they actually know what their the value they're providing is. I think that's where it comes the focus. Like, do companies understand what their value is and what separates them from other competitors specifically? And then it's also important to consider the delightful aspect of user experience, the things that you will not necessarily expect from the start when using a product, but when you start using them, such as like the bookmarking thing on Google Maps, for example, is something that you didn't expect that is there. But now that they added that, you're like, wow, I love it. And now I cannot live without that feature. And so creating like delightful, unexpected experiences too is something that I find important in user experience. Yes, I see a raised hand.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. I'm just curious to know your views on how, like, the connection between social media marketing and content creation with user experience.
Social media and content marketing with user experience, the connection.
If you see any connection or if it's possible to implement something like mapping out the customer journey to build powerful like content strategies.
Yeah, I think user experience and like social media / content strategy and social media strategy are definitely interlinked. So, but I would consider it more like, in a way, customer experience. And there's definitely different ways of, because the user experience has to do more about like the product or like a app, let's say, but the customer experience can be more about sales and like actually profits online. So let's say using the Instagram page to get eyes on different photos and then sales from those photos, for example. But user experience doesn't necessarily focus on the profit side, more on the making it so intuitive, so easy that people just go back to it. But it's still tied to the profit at the end of the day, but it's less about let's sell. It's more about how can we make this so enjoyable that people just like feel like it's water, like they drink and like, yeah, that's how I can see it. But yes, there's definitely a benefit of involving UX and user experience processes in like social media and using deliverables, such as like mapping out the experience and different steps and stuff, and kind of understanding the barriers and stuff. So yes, that's a great question. That's a fantastic question. I see other questions about, will people in marketing need to be trained in UX, do you think? Yes, I think they are right now, but they're using it, but on a surface level, but I know it's kind of slowly going, becoming more popular. So I'd say yes, they should be trained, and they are trained right now. Okay, I see that Eli Farah wanted to elaborate on his question. I will, okay, I'm just saying, looking at the other questions, I think I will move on to the next phase of the presentation. And then I will go into the other questions, and I would love to hear about your like expansion of this question, Eli. So I will make some time later to actually stop again and answer that. But before that, I will just move on, because I know that we have less and less time, and I really want you all to like do the workshop with me. So I wanted to go into like the actual like relevance of UX today. In general, like on a high level, there's a couple things that that really shows that we need this type of process in today and how we work and how we build products. So first, it would be globalization. So the fact that we're like, let's say me, I'm in a different country right now. I'm able to travel easily. The fact that we're studying in different countries, getting married to different types of people, the fact that we can just move around so quickly enables us to actually be part of communities that we were not meant to from the start. So let's say in the past, when we used to live in little tribes or villages with the same people, had the same language, it wasn't really an issue to understand each other or to empathize on that level. But today, because we're kind of getting closer and closer in different nationalities, beliefs, religions, there's more and more need for understanding how we are diverse and how to live well together. And so for that reason, these experiences that we build, and if we consider software, make it important that we involve every person, or we try to think of every type of person that might encounter a product, and to consider those nuances or those differences in how we build things. So globalization is one. And then when we move on to the obvious, which is technology is advancing so fast, that we need to make sure that we actually build things that work in the way that we humans actually understand life and operate, so that we can actually like solve the problems that we want to solve with technology, if that makes sense. And so it would not make sense to build tech that we can't use or can't understand. And so because AI is advancing so fast, because social media, because of the apps and the software that we're building, and the phones that are always changing, and I mean, slowly, incrementally changing today, because, you know, there's always a new iPhone that costs the same, like extremely high price, right, every year. But as technology evolves and that we build more and more digital products, we have to make sure that we're able to use them in a way that is intuitive. And then the evidence that really like simple things is to say that companies understand today that UX is good for business, and they know it now, and they used to not think about it. They used to just go like, okay, yeah, we're gonna sell this product to this customer, and it's the same customer that we know from the last 20 years. But now, because things are moving so fast and people are moving around, there's so many different factors that affect how things actually are sold and why people would buy certain things, right? And so Forbes, for example, in 2017 says how UX is transforming business, whether you want it or not. And then 2 years later, which is now 3 years, hopefully 2 years, hopefully my math is good. In 2019, they wrote another article saying user experience is now your business strategy. It's the core of what you actually like business. Understanding people is the core to actually making the profit and keeping those customers that you so dearly had and want to keep, obviously. And when it comes to like the skills that I wanted to talk about, I really want to focus on the soft skills. And I know that the hard skills are important too, such as knowing how to code, knowing how to prototype and to design visual experiences online, researching as a researcher. So many other like hard skills are important, but those, I mean, there's nothing wrong with those skills, but those can be learned and applied quickly. But soft skills, what you don't know before you get into the field, and in any career, you learn that your soft skills are so much more important because you're not just focused on your own thing all the time, just working by yourself. You're constantly working with other people, and you have to deal with relationships. You have to deal with management, with stakeholders, with different bosses, with products that might or might not work, with problems in your own kind of in your process and stuff like that. So those skills are collaboration, for example. So being able to communicate well with people around you, so your teammates, and kind of creating a really good work atmosphere that enable you to generate ideas. And first, like the most important too as well, in UX especially, is giving and receiving constructive feedback and being able to humbly give it to others, to receive it, and to apply it and not feel like, oh, people are attacking me. That's like one of the most important things you learn because you're constantly working with other people. And in a way, you're able to grow and become more creative in a way too, because you absorb ideas from different types of people from different backgrounds, engineers, writers, designers, project managers who are managing the team. And in that process of working in UX, and you remember those phases, right? Like empathizing, defining, and then ideating, prototyping, and testing. You learn to become so adaptable, and it's crazy. And so you have to be constantly on your feet because things are changing fast in the industry, in technology in general, but in your workplace too, because you're working a product that is ever moving, changing all the time, because you're applying the things that come from actual reality of what people feel and experience and how, like, what challenges they have. And so you have to be really comfortable about with ambiguity, with things changing and not being certain all the time, with pivots, with teams, your team changing the direction and strategy a day after you just talked about it on the last meeting. And so that kind of involves not being like feeling, let's say, not being afraid to fail as well, not being afraid to make mistakes. Because if you propose something that doesn't work, it's fine. It's not gonna ruin you. It's just gonna help you grow. And then the team can decide on what they want to do next because they learned from a lesson and they're able to kind of jump back and create something that is different and learn from those mistakes. And so that's UX right there. And then when it comes to like critical thinking, it's really about like problem solving and finding the strategies that enable the team to work together and build things that make sense to people, the people that you're building for. And so, like I said here, UX rewards those who think, period. And second, those who think different and out loud. And so working in collaboration with other people, sharing your ideas with others and not imposing them, obviously, but just comfortably sharing with people and saying, oh, this is what I think. These are the questions that come to mind. Like, why did we make this decision? Questioning things and being comfortable receiving those questions as someone who maybe proposed that, and also of giving it to others so that you can constantly just evolve as a team. So those are the skills. And the most, for me, I'd say the top one is empathy as a process. And so not assuming that you know the person or the user or the client that you're building something for, and using the methods like research to really enable a process that helps you change and improve a company for the better, or the product that you might be building, because it might be your own product. Maybe you want to build an app, maybe you want to build a service, right? And so I was talking about the UX process before, but I want to change that title and say it's the empathy process. So it's a process that enables you to empathize from the start, to create a space to listen to people and to use research method to do that. And from there, to use the information and also kind of make your own assumptions as a team and to decide on different directions. and taking those ideas and actually testing them in real life with people so that you can break assumptions and you can see if things actually work or not. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And then you repeat again that process over and over and over and over again. And sometimes these cycles are maybe 1 or 2 weeks, maybe more as well. So that's what the UX process looks like in general. And these skills that I wanted to emphasize and how they benefit any career path are the fact that you become, in a way, you see the evolution of tech, because in a way you're at the forefront of it. Not completely, depending on your industry, because you might work in AI and that possibly could be considered the forefront. But working in tech already gives you an edge in the sense that you're able to see how things are moving. You're developing the skills that enable you to stay competitive in a process. And then second point is becoming that person that through the understanding of the value of user experience and its processes and applying that all the time, you become better and better at understanding people, and companies would just want to hire you because your value just continues to increase. And so you have two things. So you see the evolution of technology, and the skills that you gain and you keep acquiring will keep you at the very forefront of everything. And in a career, you'll be considered in a way, anyways, hireable, like high in demand all the time. And then you'll have a competitive advantage in your field as well. And the last one would be that those skills are transferable to other fields, because tech is affecting everything, every industry, all the time. And it's gonna just continue like this for the next decades. And so I'd say that because the future of work continues to be connected and will continue to be collaborative, you will just be able to apply those skills in any other field or industry that you move to, and you will never lose value because those skills would just be transferable anywhere, and will just help you to stay in touch with what's happening, and to just stay relevant in general. So how can you gain these skills? You can start by changing the mindset, by considering empathy as something that you can include in your process of thinking at work or on a project you're working on. So not assuming things and always asking questions and trying to actually find, let's say, relevant finding, or to ask questions to the person you're actually building for to get as close as possible to them. And the second way you can actually gain these skills is to get a mentor or to just get hands-on experience. So you can find someone around you that is working in tech or working in UX, someone that can kind of train you and help you actually learn how they think and how they apply UX in their field. You can also kind of start a side project or something that you care about and use the UX process to kind of build basically your project from start to finish as a presentation. Maybe you can share that in a job interview. And maybe you can shadow someone or a product team for a week or get an internship. There's so many ways. And the last one would be to take courses or to attend workshops like this one or so many more in ways that can help you kind of gain those skills mentally so that you can start applying. And I will stop here again and just look at the time and see if anyone wants to raise their hand, ask a question. And I will start with the question that I had from Ellie. Ellie, if you're ready and you're still here to elaborate on your question, I'm definitely available to answer it now.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Hi.
Hi. All right, first, thank you. This is really insightful. What I wanted to ask you here, you know, we're talking about the experience. So that person is going to use the product or the service. In my opinion, the first thing comes out with, have we met their expectation, right? Do you see this like maybe most probably during designing any product or services, or am I a bit off?
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. I think that's great. And I can see that you think from a researcher perspective. You definitely do, because that's like a question that we most of the time include when we're testing products that are already like live, let's say. So let's say you're testing an app, and one of the questions you can ask is, okay, so how was that for you? Like that experience of clicking on that button, opening that page. Did what you saw after that, was that something you expected to happen, or was it not? And their answer usually is very valuable, and we take note of that. And that's a question, again, that we ask a lot. And so definitely it is important to ask about their expectations and to try to meet them as well. And maybe not to, it depends on the product, because it might happen that you're building something, right, that you expect them to use in this way, but they end up using it in that way. And so there you have to make a decision and say, is my objective to build an app that follows the actual steps that I wanted from the beginning, or is it to actually follow people and what they expect, so that I can create something valuable and that is probably going to last longer and going to be more profitable because people actually need it. And so from there, you can kind of make a decision, but I hope that I answer your question. Let me know.
Yeah, you did, and that's a great way of putting it, actually, when you look at the outcome of that research and then maybe try to build on that. Just very quickly also, and I'll let the place for others, sorry for taking more time, but again, sometimes you have to set the expectation for your customer. Make sense? So in the sense, how much you're involved, I'm really curious to know if companies now are really listening to the researchers and designers and user experience, saying, no, we have to set the expectation. Like we can't promise something we can't deliver, because this will ruin the whole experience.
Yeah, your question was, in a way, what I understand is how much do they listen to researchers? But what you mean by that is researchers representing what the user says. So let's say the user says, oh, we don't like this, or we don't like how this was used, but it was set by the companies. Let's say it's a standard for the company, but the user says something like they say they're not satisfied. And that's what the researchers says to the company. Are you saying that that we should listen to the user, or we should not? We should just focus? I'm
just curious to know how much influence you have over the final decision on which way to go. I mean, how much companies are really interested in the user experience? Because honestly, even like, let's say with Google, you use some products that are really nice, really important for us, but sometimes they keep on pushing some other stuff that they ruin the whole experience for you.
Right. Yeah, okay, that's an amazing question. So I'd say that not all companies are involved or interested or invested in improving user experience, because first of all, they might not know the value or might not know what it is as a field or as a kind of, let's say, kind of expertise, let's say. And second, even if they know, they might not have the actual structures in their teams or the experience to actually build some, like a experience team or user research team, or have someone that can actually like improve the things in a company. So it might happen that they want to, it's just that it's such an old company. It was run like this for so many years that it's really hard to actually include that process. It might take some time, or it might change in the future. But then let's say huge organizations like governments and banks, even if they start including UX, I'd say that they're still not at the level that they should be. But it's okay, they're growing. But when it comes to companies that want to kind of integrate different features or product that you didn't actually ask for, that's them actually testing to see if that's something that could be interesting for some people. And so they're doing some tests or beta testing to see if that's something they could actually build on for real, or if something that people don't actually need or want. And so it happens that they kind of build a core product and then they add things and they're like, okay, maybe this could work. Maybe we're trying to kind of strategize and find out what we want to focus on next, because they always want to create something new, because that's how they continue to make profit. If that makes sense. And okay, I hope that was clear, but I'm going to move on to another question. And if you want to comment in the chat, Eli, you definitely can. Let's say, Adriana, hi. You asked a question about customizing the settings of the service and analyzing the client data to adjust to their flow. Is it the only things she likes about the current job? She says, is it actually feasible to move into UX if I don't have a background on human or computer science? Yes, I don't have background in human or computer science. I mean, I do have a very loose background in social science, sociology, anthropology, biopsychology, but like I haven't done like a human interaction or human factor like degree or master's or anything. I just have my design background. Because of that design background, I'm able to kind of use the process of design to involve like UX and to think from like iterative perspective instead of just seeing things like set in stone. And so I'd say it's really about the mindset of how you're able to like actually gain knowledge about UX and apply the process, and less about like having an actual concrete background. And obviously some people come from those fields, like they're psychologists, etc. But it doesn't stop anyone else from any other field, medical school, law, philosophy, to actually come in and work in UX. Hopefully that answers your question. And if it doesn't, you can provide more insights. If I mentor, I do mentor. So what is my process? It depends on the person and where they are in this, like the stage of their learning. So I give different feedback for different people, and like actually where they are, what challenges you're facing. But if you want to learn more about mentorship, or like you want me to answer more questions about it, my email address is, actually, I didn't even share the presentation slides, I believe. Let me see if I can just, or maybe Diana did.
I did. I will share the presentation again.
Oh, super. So excellent. Thank you so much. So I'm available through email, and my Calendly link will lead you to like booking meetings in my calendar. So if you want to have a chat on mentorship or getting some answers more in depth on certain things, definitely you can do. Isn't it the best time to incorporate UX since the pandemic has changed the way business? Yes. Yes. You are absolutely right. Now is the time to incorporate UX as much as possible, and companies know that, and they're slowly moving to that. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the compliment on my on my website. I am ready to. Okay, let me just see if time check, Diana. How much time do we have left?
Okay, we are 9:30. This is 1 hour. You have full 1 hour.
Oh, I have 1 hour.
Yeah, it's 10:30. No, I'm lying. It's 10. We have 30 minutes left. I'm lying.
Yeah, exactly. 30 minutes left. And so I will, okay, what should I do? I will see if I can answer some of these questions during the workshop portion, because I'll have some time, and it will be mostly most of you working a bit and yes, applying the UX process. What you see here is a screenshot of one of my last workshops. We use the same type of activity, and this is like the end, basically the final product of like all the students that actually like apply the process. So I just wanted to show you. But you have the presentation link in the chat. You can find some resources on how to learn more about UX right here. So I have listed a couple websites, and also like YouTube channels, and what else? Books, I believe. Yeah. So you can take a look at these and learn more about UX. And if you want to learn more from someone, you can definitely ask me, and I will direct you to a specific friend who's UX designer, or another UX researcher, or you can also talk to me personally. I would be happy to do that. And now what you see here is, again, my contact information, and then the presentation. And can you share, Diana, the link to the workshop? I will move on to that now so that we can start actually like concretely applying some of these. Yes, so you can see most of you, hopefully, the workshop link in a chat. And if you can't find it, but you have the presentation open, you can click on the title workshop time that you see right here on my screen, and it will lead you to the same board. And so we will slowly all be moving towards this, the workshop board. And I'm just waiting here to see if there's more people joining. I see another person just joined. Feel free to click on the link and then you'll just be directed to, yes, I see more people joining. See more people joining. Awesome, I'll wait for more to come. And all right, I see some people moving around. And so just feel comfortable. Just to start, I want to kind of just kind of create a warm up situation here. And so what you can do, this is a tool called Mural. What you could do is just to start to kind of feel more comfortable, you can try to zoom in and out so that you can focus on something and unfocus, just to kind of feel like it's easy to kind of move around. And so if you're on a, let's say, on a MacBook or a PC laptop, then you use your two fingers, right, to kind of move on the touchpad. But if you're using a mouse, you can just scroll on the little like thingy that moves, and you can zoom in and out. And once you feel comfortable with that, you'll see at the top left of this box. So you see this like long white box, right? And you see like a bluish box on the top left of it. And let's see if actually people can move towards it. I'm kind of hovering over it. If you can just come to the side here, where you see like the UX process listed here, what I talked about in the presentation. This is just to show you that we're gonna apply these steps right here. So just an overview basically of that part of the presentation. And once you see that, you can just again zoom in and out just to see if that works again. And we're all gonna move to warm up, identify UX in your life. That section is number 0, basically, because it's just the very start of prepping ourselves. And right here, what you're gonna do is we're going to create a sticky note. And to create a sticky note, what you do is you, on any gray area, just double click and you're able to like create a sticky note and it will appear. So double click on any of those gray areas. And I think on that white box too, yeah. So you can just double click and it creates a sticky note, a virtual sticky note for you. And you will use this to type your information or your content in as if you're writing down on a piece of paper or like on Google Docs. And just to start here, the first exercise is to provide an example of bad UX in your life. So can you think of an experience you had on a website, maybe an app, or maybe traveling experience or shopping, something else that you find like really annoys you, maybe on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, maybe it was like a one-time thing. And if you think of something, just tap again and write it down like I'm doing right now. So hopefully you can see my cursor. So I might write something like taking Bolt. Bolt is actually like the version of Uber in East Africa. And I believe they're in the rest of Africa. Taking Bolt in Tanzania is a really annoying process for me because anyways, I'll tell the story later. But so if you create a sticky note, click on the middle of it and a cursor will appear and you can start writing. as if you're writing on a piece of paper or something, or like, yeah, on Google Docs. So write down things that you find are really troublesome or annoying experiences in your life, and they can be in any aspect of life. So that write it down on the side where it says bad UX in your life. Some of you might, I'm just looking at the number of people on the board. Let me know if you can access this board or not. I'm just going to like, what should I do to actually, because I see a very small number of people on the board, and I wonder if it is because they can't find it, or and if you have trouble finding the board on Mural, let me know, and I will direct you. I just want to lock this in. Oh, someone deleted something. All right, but we still can work. And so when you see, hopefully, is anyone having trouble writing down in sticky notes, or is it fine? If you are, it's completely okay. I can show you how. Okay, someone says nope, all good here. Awesome. So when you're done writing down things that you find really, the experience you find annoying, write down the experience you find that you really love, whether it's an app, whether it's like a specific restaurant you go to, that maybe you go every week or something like that. Maybe it's a city that you visited that you like how they practice things, or like a hotel room or something like that. I don't know. Tell me about like the things that you find like are just like satisfying when it comes to experiences. Oh, okay, I see someone says I'm on my phone. Right. Yes, unfortunately, it's not working on the phone, but I believe if you are able to see my screen, you can still see what everyone else is sharing. Okay. I will take that into consideration now, because I just noticed that some of you actually joined from their phones. And that's not something I've actually considered when it comes to like workshops on this app. So next time I'll see if I use something different, but awesome. So write down the things that you find are really good UX experiences. So someone wrote, let's see. Oh, interesting. So someone says it's called Babelio in French. It's a Francophone version of Goodreads. It's like a library catalog. I've never heard of that, but it sounds really interesting actually, and I might take a look at it. Google Maps, Apple Car. Anything else? Anything else that you find? Someone says, would it be okay for me to just leave my experience here and you can put it on the board? Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Everett, I believe that's how you say your name. Please correct me if I didn't say it right. Yes, I can definitely copy paste your experience. If you type it in the chat, I will so anyone else who has trouble accessing the board, I can actually add myself the information by just, if you type it in the chat, I will copy paste it for you on the board. Oh, let's see if I actually was able to do that. I'm not sure if I was able to paste. Usually you can, but sometimes it's not enabled on Zoom. Copy. Okay. And as you can see, my board, my computer is in French. So, okay. So bad experience. A trading app that is, its name is Trade instead of an app name, and it's totally counterintuitive. That's funny, actually. Wayfair. Oh, Wayfair. Yes, I've shopped online on Wayfair like maybe a year ago when I was moving in my new place, and I actually liked Wayfair as an experience. Awesome. So we have still some time, but I want to move on to the next. And so now that you start to feel comfortable using this platform and the sticky notes, we'll move on to the next phase, which is actually like applying the steps, some of the steps in UX. So we'll start with step 1 and 2, which is to empathize and define. And so here we'll think of like, in general, like what is your relationship with video call meetings? Maybe with actually in school, maybe you have companies, a company you're working for, and you have clients, or like you're part of a team. What's your experience with like video call meetings? And why am I asking this? Is because I want us in a way to kind of empathize with ourselves when it comes to an experience so that we apply this UX process. It's a bit counterintuitive, but how can we think of the UX process from our own experience in, let's say, this example, it's video call meetings? And why am I saying this is because most of the time I find them really awkward. Like this is not awkward for me right now because I'm presenting and I'm actually like, I know what I'm saying and I'm actually live and stuff like that. But when I'm actually part of a team or a company and I'm part of a big meeting or something and I have to say something, I'm always like, okay, like I have to unmute now. And like, it's so awkward all the time. I'm like, I'm not sure where I should say something because everyone is talking over everyone. Anyway, so let's move on to the experience of video calling, which is step 1 and 2, empathize and define. And so when you're part of a video call, for example, what do you do in the call? Like, do you speak up? So you write down things here that kind of help you empathize again with your own experience and think about it and reflect. Because this information that we're putting down is a way, these types of questions are the types of questions we ask users when we conduct research sometimes to find out what's happening in their mind and why they're making certain decisions, etc., to build things that make sense to them. And so when you're part of let's say a video call, like what do? Most of the time I mute myself. Like I literally, that's the first thing I do. I turn the video on usually because I don't want people to think I'm weird and I'm like hiding. But then I tend to mute myself all the time because I'm like, what if I like say something random all of a sudden? So if you're like in that, let's say, I'm just wondering where people are right now. So we're step 1 and 2. So if you move to the section after the first one we just worked on, the warm up, you can start populating that top left quadrant that says, what do you do? To kind of talk about like, what do you do when you join a video call meeting? Like, what are your actions? I tend to mute myself and then I turn on my video. Just kind of right. I turn on my video. I make sure that like my background, there's nothing weird. I look at my background. So I'm writing these down. So we're doing this just to kind of feel like, kind of get aware of what are the actions that we're kind of doing as we kind of experience that video call, basically. So you ask questions to yourself about like, what do you actually do? Let me just read some of them to kind of know what people are saying. Someone says, I zone out. Absolutely, I do that most of the time. And someone says, predict when others will talk. Interesting. Someone says they turn off video if I'm obviously multitasking. Yeah, that happens too. Someone says I accidentally talk over people. Yeah, and that's the part that I really like makes me uncomfortable because I'm like, I'm the type of like, I don't want any conflict. And so I would rather just mute. And then when I find like there's a pause, I'm like, okay, now I can speak. Now I can say something. And then I mute. Okay, good. And so what are the thoughts in your mind when you're actually like in a video call meeting? What's happening in your mind? You're thinking, maybe you might think like, what would you think? I mean, sometimes I'm like, I'm so tired that I'm like, dang, like it's really hard to concentrate right now. My eyes are like, I want to close my eyes, but I can't. Sometimes that comes to mind. What else can you think about? So write down the things that you come to your mind. And if you feel like you've written 2 or 3 or like just enough in that section at the top right, move to the how do you feel section, which is on the bottom left section of that quadrant in step 1 and 2, and write down what, how do you feel? Like what's happening in your like emotional life? Like, are you frustrated? Are you like, I'm not sure what people feel on video calls, depending on what's happening in the call, right? But how do you usually feel? Like, what's your like underlying like emotion? And why did I choose this example of like video call meetings? Is because I know it's in a way ubiquitous, or most people experience it today because we're forced through COVID and the pandemic to work differently or to study differently together. And so I know in a way it's like a semi-universal experience. And so it's easier for all of us to relate. And I'm reading some of these post-its. Someone says, what value can I extract? Interesting. What value can I extract? That's a smart question to ask yourself that I tend not to ask myself when I'm in a meeting with people for work or something else. What are people expecting of me? I do ask myself that too. What is the essence here? Because sometimes you're not sure what the meeting is for, right? So you're like, yeah, I'm not sure if I join, why I joined this, and like how valuable it is. Someone says that they feel in the how do you feel section, they say they feel restless or self-conscious. I do feel self-conscious a lot. Someone says they feel calm and open to anything and everything. Interesting. Okay, so these are all really good insights. And as you kind of move towards the how do you feel, let's go to like step 3 and 4 because we don't have too much time. Let's move to step 3 and 4 and look at the actual like prototyping side of like what solutions do you think can you think of when it comes to your experience with video calls? What can you change? What are things you think can make it better? Who can make it better? Is it to actually not use video call meetings? Is it to exterminate Zoom and every video call ever? Is it to change how they're run? Think of that too, so that you can actually empathize again with yourself, ideate on potential like, let's say, things that you can think of when it comes to features maybe, or like a different experience that doesn't involve video calls. And so that now you're actually thinking of, you're going through the UX experience, but from your personal perspective. And so, okay, I see a lot of people actually, a lot of sticky notes right now. Someone says using interesting Zoom backgrounds to make it more entertaining. Interesting. Limiting the call sizes. Yes. I really agree with that. So like shorter the better, I believe. Someone says automatically create queues when 2 people talk at once. Okay, that could be a thing. That could be actual thing that I approve of that. Not that I need to approve, but that's something that actually I can see work. I mean, can I see it work technically? Maybe, maybe not, but that's something I would be willing to test if someone creates that. And so right now, we've been in a way thinking of UX, or applying that UX process through the video call example, let's say, and some of you are actually writing down your solutions or things that you think could be improved and how. And in our process, because we have 5 minutes, I'm going to go back to, oh, I just saw someone join, Ebenezer, hi. We're at the end of the presentation, or we're kind of going through the workshop right now, and I'm about to answer a couple of questions. Let's just say we have 5 minutes left, so I'm just looking at the questions. Okay, there's no specific questions in the chat, but as you kind of ideate and prototype on like improving that video call experience, we're going to move on to actually testing the idea that you have. So some of you wrote down like actual potential features or things that you can improve. But if you move to actually like step 5, which is testing, how would you actually find a way to validate if your idea is good or not with people? And so if some of you know any research methods like interviews or intercept testing, which is to show up somewhere and to just like ask people randomly, or surveys like someone just wrote, or you can do observation and watch people. Actually, you can watch video calls instead of participating, right? And so in the process of watching, let's say 10, 15, then you'll kind of find out you observe different patterns of how people interact or their relationship with the video call itself. And from there, you might be able to find things that allow you to understand how to improve it. And so you can use surveys, you can test with, let's say you can build a feature using a prototyping tool and then test it out with people through a research method called usability testing. You can also do like a diary study. I'm just gonna write it down because some people sometimes ask me, what is a diary study? And it's basically a way of asking different types of people information through a longer period of time. So let's say for an entire week, you gather information from one person through photos, through screenshots, through their notes of their own observations, and you compile that with maybe 5-10 people, and you find out their journey through something. And so yeah, that's a method I've used in the past. That's longer, it might take more time, but it's usually pretty revealing. Someone says accessibility, absolutely. So because I only have 3 minutes and this was a pretty quick session, I want to see if anyone has additional questions in the chat, so you can just type them. But otherwise, I'm going to go back to the ones that I was supposed to answer at the beginning and that someone was asking me about earlier. And those questions are, first of all, what is the difference between UX and UI? So UX is the user experience. And that involves everything. It involves the visuals, what you see, and also what you don't see. So it involves, let's say, the buttons that you see, the colors, the ways things are kind of built together on Google Maps, for example, since we use that example so many times. But the user interface or UI is only what you see. And so why we break those down in 2 different categories is because visual designers tend to do the user interface, and UX designers are responsible for the user experience as well as the user researcher. And so, but sometimes one person does everything. So they build the visual interface and they also think about why things are built a certain way by conducting research, by understanding people, etc. And someone says that Mural platform is really interesting. Yeah, I definitely would encourage everyone to use it. I think it's free of use for a certain period of time, or like if you have a certain number of boards, not sure yet, but I'd say try to use it because it will probably become something that you use in the future at work or something similar. And the second question before we end, because it's like a minute before, what is a typical week looking like? It changes a lot, but most of the time, if we follow that UX process that I mentioned before, this empathizing, define, ideate, prototype, and test, it tends to kind of run in like 1 or 2 week cycles. And so you start by talking to the team and understanding what we're working towards, what are the goals, what are we testing, and by the end of it, you kind of come back together, do a retrospective and see if we actually reach our goals or not, and move on to actually starting again that same process over and over again, that UX process / empathy process. And last question before I close is, do I need to draw or code to work in UX? No, none of these two you have to actually work in UX. You can draw, you can code. I used to draw when I was younger. I'm not as good anymore. I code, but I hate coding. So I don't do any of those two things. I focus on research, but even if I was a UX designer, I wouldn't necessarily need to actually draw properly. I could just draw sketches and then use those sketches to kind of finalize the things on a computer and then propose that as ideas that we can test out later. So no need to learn how to draw a code. And as we close, I just wanted to say thank you again. Let me just find the last slide so we can, if you want to reach out to me, you can find me right here on my website, on my email address, and also on Calendly, which is a place where you can book meetings with me. And let me just go back and see if I can see all your faces, because I'm actually, okay, yes. Let me open these again. All right, everyone. You can turn on your videos if you want to say bye, but it was great. Thank you so much for being part of this. And I loved all your questions. And hopefully I responded to most of them. I know we didn't have exactly too much time, but I'd love to go on one-on-one with some of you if you're willing to, and go more in depth on certain aspects. Otherwise, it was lovely, and I look forward to seeing you join.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. Thank you. Thank you. What a perfect way to kickstart Friday. It was very engaging session. We learned a lot. People are so happy commenting in the chat. I'm so inspired by your career journey that, yeah, like same as you, I have a passion for design. I do code. So it's like you are opening this moment many doors and opportunities for many people in this call, me included. So thank you so much for your generosity, for being here with us. And for all of you who were interested in networking and mentoring, I encourage you to attend a workshop called Inclusive Networking in a Hybrid World with our networking and mentoring coach, Sadaf Birji. So I will put it in the chat in case you are looking for a mentor and you are not sure how to do that and how to reach out people, how to connect with people, how to use in a purposeful way your LinkedIn account. You can attend this workshop and you will learn useful tricks and tips to get that mentoring that you are looking for. Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. I hope to see you around in this, everybody, in this 4-day of Power Skills Career Summit, as well as tomorrow. We have more events coming up, still around 30 sessions left. Today, 18. Now we have going on 16 sessions after this one and another one that was live. So thank you again. See you around and hope to repeat again with Anne-Marie in the future at Power Skills and with all of you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Anne-Marie.